So there are two kinds of people who run for office, and one category is really big, one category is really small. The big category is people who just want to get to office because they want to prove something to their absent or alcoholic fathers or fill some empty space inside or have power over you. That's almost everybody. Then there's a small category of people who run for office because they really believe something and they've got something to say. They really mean it. You almost never see these people. One of them is J.D. Vance.
So that was a video that Tucker Carlson did with J.D. Vance when Tucker was still at Fox. Okay, this video goes back 2021. This is July 29th, 2021. It's almost 2 days removed for being a full year. And someone went back and uncovered this video or brought this video back to light. You know, that's what happens when there's stuff, you know, on the internet. So welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to analyze the comments that were made by J.D. Vance. Of course, play the full clip, which is about a few minutes of Tucker talking to J.D. Vance back in 2021 in regards to this particular thing that is getting everyone's attention now about the childless cat lady's comment that J.D. Vance made back in 2021. And here we're talking about it again in 2024. Back then, I believe he was a nominee for Ohio senator, and now he is the VP nominee for Trump 2024. Okay, so you have that. So just wanted to put that in full context. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like, subscribe. I do appreciate that. It does help the channel. It means a lot to me. And here's the clip that took place in 2021 with Tucker Carlson and J.D. Vance.
So there are two kinds of people who run for office, and one category is really big, one category is really small. The big category is people who just want to get to office because they want to prove something to their absent or alcoholic fathers or fill some empty space inside or have power over you. That's almost everybody. Then there's a small category of people who run for office because they really believe something and they've got something to say. They really mean it. You almost never see these people. One of them is J.D. Vance. He didn't need to run for office, but he is. He's running for Senate in Ohio. And since the second he announced, places like the Daily Beast and the Washington Post and the Atlantic, the axis or protectors of the ruling class, have gone crazy. They hate him. They really hate him. And that's how you know he means it. Well, the latest example came on Friday in Alexandria. J.D. Vance made a pretty obvious point. He said the childless left, that's how he put it, lacks, quote, physical commitment to the future of this country. Quote, why is this just a normal fact of life for the leaders of our country to be people who don't have a personal and direct stake in it via their own offspring? That's what he asked, and they went completely bananas. So we thought it'd be interesting to talk to J.D. Vance about what he meant and what it's like to be attacked for saying things that are so obviously true. He joins us tonight. J.D. Vance, thanks so much for coming on. So tell us that was just a very short snippet of a much longer speech, and a really interesting speech that people, I think, should read. But what were you saying?
Thanks, Tucker. And by the way, if folks want to help us out, jdvance.com. Every little bit helps if you can throw us a couple bucks. But look, what I was basically saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made. And so they want to make the rest of the country miserable, too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it? I just wanted to ask that question and propose that maybe if we want a healthy ruling class in this country, we should invest more, we should vote more, we should support more people who actually have kids, because those are the people who ultimately have a more direct stake in the future of this country.
Man, if you had called for, I don't know, lowering tax rates to zero or invading Canada or, you know, I don't really know what, making the death penalty mandatory for people who don't get the vaccine, something really radical, they wouldn't even have noticed. The Atlantic would have just nodded. But saying something like that drove them, like, insane. Why?
Well, I think first is because it actually hit a nerve. I mean, these people recognize that they're unhappy. They live in one-bedroom apartments in New York City. They've played their entire lives to win a status game. They're obsessed with their jobs. They're obsessed with their wealth and with their fortunes. And they look at middle America, people who are actually pretty happy with their lives and the choices that they've made, and they hate normal Americans for choosing family over these ridiculous DC and New York status games. And I think because of that, they just get so angry when somebody calls it what it is. It's acceptable if they ignore that it never happens, but when somebody calls out that, look, If you're a miserable cat lady, you should not force your misery on the rest of the country. They just get really upset about it. And I think, by the way, Tucker, it's a good thing that they get upset about it. It suggests that they know that we're hitting a nerve, not just in this campaign, but with this message that we should invest in American families in this country. If nothing else, we should be about healthy, stable families.
Do you think that this would be a happier country if it were run by happier people?
I definitely do. It makes total sense, right? Happier people would make for a happier country. And it's not just the leaders of the left, of course. It's not just the Democrat politicians.
No.
You know this, Tucker. The most miserable people in the mainstream media are these mediocre journalists who have their entire sense of self-worth wrapped up in their crappy jobs instead of in their families. People who know where they came from, people who go home at night and see the face of a smiling kid, whatever their profession, I think they're happier, I think they're healthier, and they're going to be better prepared to actually lead this country. And the problem that I have, especially as we're entering this period of COVID obsession again, is that we have so many people proposing we mask our children again. Look, the people who are proposing it, they don't have to go home to a child at the end of the day. If they did, I don't think they'd be proposing all these ridiculous restrictions again.
Yeah, they're imposing their psychodramas and their neuroses on the rest of us, and we should say, no thanks. We're going to be happy. They hate you when you say that. J.D. Vance, great to see you tonight. Thank you.
So one thing I find really interesting about that particular clip is J.D. Vance speaks to the fact that the individuals that he named, Kamala Harris, AOC, Pete Buttigieg, those individuals do not have skin in the game when it comes to family. I thought that was really interesting. And it got me to a place where I had to do some research to find out if these individuals that he mentioned in the video, do those individuals have kids or not? Okay. And what does JD Vance actually mean with that particular comment? Is there a deeper layer to that conversation? Why he brought that to the table? So those are some of the questions that I had, and I'm definitely going to show you a couple of things in regards to that. Before we get to that, I want to talk to you about 12 rules of propaganda. As you know, manipulation happens all over the place. It happens on an individual scale. It also happens on a large scale when you're dealing with governments and big entities. And my team put this together, and I got my copy today because I've been waiting for it for quite some time. 12 rules of propaganda talks about how to acknowledge and recognize if you're being manipulated or not. And just to give you a teaser here, understanding manipulation is at the very, very front page of that. I'm going to put a QR code on the screen for you to check it out for yourself. Considering doing an audiobook for that, definitely check it out. It is available on Amazon right now, on Kindle as well as paperback. 12 Rules for Propaganda. It's a must read for you if you want to understand what's happening in the space, whether it's on an individual scale or not. It is going to change your perspective with everything that you look at moving forward. Definitely look for that. Now, first things first, let's look at Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC. So over here in Wikipedia, it says Ocasio-Cortez is a Catholic. She discussed her faith and its impact on her life and her campaign for criminal justice reform. An article she wrote for America, the magazine of the Jesuit order in the United States. She said she has some Sephardic Jewish ancestry. Okay, so there's that. During the 2018 election campaign, Ocasio-Cortez resided in Parkchester, Bronx, with her partner, web developer Riley Roberts. They became engaged in April 2022. Okay, in Puerto Rico. Okay, so it doesn't say anything about kids. All right. So with AOC, we're going to assume based on the information given here, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. But let's just say if we were to go with just this information here, she does not have kids. Okay. So next up, let's look at Kamala Harris. Okay. Kamala Harris. I think I'm pronouncing it right. Let me know if I'm pronouncing it right. Kamala Harris over here says Kamala Harris's stepdaughter responds to childless attack from JD Vance. I love my three parents. Okay, it says Ella Emhoff's mother, Kirsten Emhoff, also responded to Vance's 2021 remarks. Again, we're going back to 2021 remarks that were resurfaced recently, okay, which referred to the vice president as one of the childless cat ladies running the country. Okay, so scroll down here. Let's see what we have here. So I'm just going to go here during a 2021 interview with Tucker Carlson on Fox News, which we briefly touched on. Vance, now former President Donald Trump's running mate, said Harris was one of the childless cat ladies who want to make the rest of the country miserable too. Okay, Vance added, if you look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. Now, why would he say that if they have kids? Now, that's the question I would love for you to think about, okay? So over here it says Harris's stepmother, okay, to Emhoff's two children, Ella and Cole, who referred to the vice president as Mamala, all right? So in this context, okay, Kamala has two, okay, stepkids, all right? So there you have it. Next up on the docket, we have Pete Buttigieg, two children, okay, all about twins, Gus and Penelope, all right? Pete Buttigieg and his husband, Chasten Buttigieg, adopted their twins, Joseph August Gus and Penelope Rose, in August 2021, all right? So let's just scroll down here, not too far down. Pete Buttigieg and his husband, Chasten Buttigieg, became first-time parents in 2021, all right? Now, that's interesting. In 2021, around maybe the same time that, okay, I don't know if this is completely accurate here, so I'm just going to put a window, okay, a paraphrase window here. Maybe around the same time that these comments were made, or within the same year that these comments were made, that JD Vance specifically said that these individuals did not have skin in the game, okay? 2021, with the birth of their twins, all right? So we have the Buttigieg with kids, we have Kamala with kids, okay? And we have AOC, no kids, okay? So now the question becomes, okay, is JD Vance talking about something a little bit deeper than what meets the eye, right? So now you have to wonder, is why would you say these individuals do not have kids when it says that they have kids? And we can go, okay, so I don't know, right? But let's just say, is he talking about the fact that they don't have skin in the game by way of their own kids, right? Could that be? I don't know. But according to what we looked at, we saw Kamala Harris with two, we saw Buttigieg with two, we saw AOC with 0 right now, right? So would that be what JD Vance is talking about? I definitely want to hear your thoughts in a comment. Also, make sure you watch this video right here, subscribe, and until next time, take care.